Breaking news that could reshape global trade. President Trump just called America's trading partners cash machines and threatened massive tariff increases. South Korea is in the crosshairs, and what happens next could affect millions of jobs and your wallet. Stay with me for the next 20 minutes as we break down what's really happening behind closed doors in Washington. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're covering a developing story that has major implications for the global economy, international trade, and potentially your own financial future. President Donald Trump has once again turned his attention to trade policy, and this time, South Korea finds itself at the center of a brewing trade dispute. The president used provocative language comparing trading partners to cash machines and has hinted at substantial tariff increases that could shake up existing trade relationships. But this isn't just about two countries having a disagreement. What's happening right now in Washington could set the tone for how America conducts trade for years to come. So let's dive deep into what's actually happening, why it matters, and what could happen next. To understand the current situation, we need to look at the history of U.S.-South Korea trade relations. The United States and South Korea have had a free trade agreement in place for years. This agreement reduced tariffs on many products, making it easier and cheaper for both countries to trade with each other. South Korean companies invested heavily in the United States, creating jobs and manufacturing facilities across American states. Major South Korean corporations like Hyundai, Kia, Samsung, and LG have established significant operations in America. These companies employ thousands of American workers and have invested billions of dollars in U.S. infrastructure. However, trade agreements have always been a point of contention in American politics. Some argue these agreements benefit both nations through lower prices and increased economic cooperation. Others claim they disadvantage American workers by allowing foreign companies to compete too effectively with domestic manufacturers. President Trump has long been vocal about his belief that previous trade deals were unfavorable to the United States. During his previous term and now in his current presidency, he's made renegotiating or abandoning these agreements a central part of his economic policy. Now, let's get into what's happening right now. On January 26th, President Trump made a significant announcement. He declared his intention to restore tariffs on Korean-made automobiles, pharmaceuticals, and other products to what they were before the trade agreement, a rate of 25%. This is a dramatic shift. A 25% tariff means that Korean products would suddenly become 25% more expensive when entering the American market. For industries operating on thin profit margins, this could be devastating. Following this announcement, the cash machine comment came during subsequent remarks. The president characterized America's trading partners as machines from which the United States should be extracting more value. This language signals a transactional approach to international trade relationships. The immediate response from South Korea was diplomatic but urgent. The country's industry minister, Kim Jong-kwon, quickly traveled to Washington to meet with U.S. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick. This meeting took place on January 29th at the U.S. Department of Commerce building. It lasted approximately 1 hour and 20 minutes, a significant amount of time for such a high-level meeting, indicating the seriousness of the discussions. After the meeting concluded, Minister Kim spoke with reporters. His comments were measured but revealed that the situation remains unresolved. "We discussed many issues and agreed to meet again tomorrow morning," Kim stated. He added, "No conclusion has been reached yet." This is diplomatic language, but it tells us several important things. First, the issues are complex enough that they couldn't be resolved in a single meeting. Second, both sides are willing to continue talking, which is a positive sign. Third, no conclusion means the tariff threat still stands. According to reports, Minister Kim's strategy during the meeting focused on two main points. First, he explained the progress South Korea has made on legislation related to the Special Act on Investment in the United States. This is a law designed to encourage and facilitate Korean corporate investment in America. Second, he provided assurances that South Korean companies would continue their investment plans in the United States without disruption. This is significant because Korean companies have committed to billions of dollars in American investments, particularly in manufacturing and technology sectors. The South Korean strategy appears to be, "We're already investing heavily in your economy, creating American jobs, and we're committed to doing more." Imposing these tariffs would hurt both of us. You might be wondering why this dispute between the United States and South Korea matters to you personally or to the broader world. Let me explain. First, consider the automotive industry. Korean manufacturers like Hyundai and Kia have become major players in the American car market. Millions of Americans drive Korean-made vehicles. A 25% tariff on these cars would likely mean higher prices for consumers. If you're planning to buy a car, this could directly affect how much you pay. Second, pharmaceuticals. South Korea produces medications and medical equipment that are sold in the United States. Healthcare costs are already a major concern for many Americans. Tariffs on pharmaceutical products could drive these costs even higher. Third, there's the employment angle. Korean companies employ tens of thousands of American workers directly and many more indirectly through supply chains and related businesses. If these companies scale back their U.S. operations due to tariffs making their business less viable, American jobs could be at risk. Fourth, this sets a precedent. If the United States imposes these tariffs on South Korea, other trading partners will be watching closely. Will they be next? This uncertainty can freeze investment decisions and create economic instability. Finally, there's the geopolitical dimension. South Korea is a crucial American ally, particularly in relation to challenges posed by North Korea and broader security concerns in East Asia. Trade disputes can complicate these important strategic relationships. This situation with South Korea isn't happening in isolation. It's part of a broader approach to trade policy. President Trump has consistently advocated for what he calls fair trade rather than free trade. His argument is that previous agreements allowed other countries to take advantage of the United States, and that correcting this imbalance requires tariffs and tougher negotiating stances. Critics of this approach argue that tariffs ultimately hurt American consumers through higher prices and can trigger retaliation from other countries, potentially leading to trade wars that damage everyone's economy. We've seen this dynamic play out before with tariffs on Chinese goods, steel and aluminum imports, and other products. The results have been mixed. Some domestic industries have benefited from protection against foreign competition, while others have struggled with higher costs for materials they need to import. The cash machine metaphor is particularly revealing of the administration's mindset. It suggests viewing trade relationships primarily through the lens of extracting maximum financial benefit, rather than as mutually beneficial partnerships. Whether this approach ultimately strengthens or weakens the American economy is a matter of ongoing debate among economists, policymakers, and business leaders. So where do we go from here? Minister Kim and Secretary Lutnick agreed to continue their discussions. This is scheduled to happen imminently, possibly by the time you're watching this video. These follow-up meetings will be critical. There are several possible outcomes. Best case scenario for South Korea. They convince the U.S. administration to back down from the tariff threat, perhaps in exchange for commitments about future investments or addressing specific American concerns about the trade relationship. Middle ground scenario: a partial implementation of tariffs or a delayed timeline that gives both sides more room to negotiate and adjust. Worst case scenario: the full 25% tariffs are implemented, potentially triggering South Korean counter-tariffs on American goods and escalating into a more serious trade conflict. Beyond South Korea, other nations will be watching this closely. If the United States takes a hard line here, countries like Japan, Germany, and others with significant trade relationships with America might prepare for similar confrontations. Financial markets will also be paying attention. Uncertainty about trade policy can affect stock prices, currency values, and business investment decisions. This developing story highlights how international trade policy affects everyday life in ways we don't always immediately recognize. The products we buy, the jobs available in our communities, the prices we pay for everything from cars to medicine, all of these are influenced by the decisions being made in meetings like the one between Minister Kim and Secretary Lutnick. The language used by leaders matters too. Calling trading partners cash machines sends a signal about how relationships are viewed and what approach will be taken in negotiations. As this situation continues to develop over the coming days and weeks, we'll keep you updated with the latest information and analysis. The next round of meetings between U.S. and South Korean officials could be decisive in determining whether this remains a negotiating tactic or escalates into a full trade dispute. What do you think about this approach to trade policy? Should the United States take a harder line in trade negotiations, or do these tariff threats risk damaging important economic and strategic relationships? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our coverage as this story develops. Understanding these issues is crucial for making informed decisions about your own finances and understanding the world around you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.